What do you get when you mix killer moves, addictive beats, and all-around aesthetic candy? Well, you get K-pop. What was once a genre contained to South Korea has now become easily one of the biggest global phenomenons, captivating millions of fans from Los Angeles to London and everywhere in between. The Korean Wave, or Hallyu as known in Korean, was an initiative set by the Korean government in the early 90s to help grow their prosperity as a country through media and entertainment. Their plan was to become a powerful global export through music, TV dramas, skincare, fashion, and more. It's no coincidence that your grandmother has heard BTS on the radio these days. This has been in the making for decades, and it has absolutely boomed their economy in ways that no one has ever seen before. The Hallyu movement has created billions of dollars per year for the economy in South Korea, and it's showing no signs of stopping. Research has shown that there are millions of K-pop fans in the Americas and Europe, with the United States being one of the largest fan bases outside of Asia. There are many different phases to its popularity in the Western world, probably the largest breakthrough being Gangnam Style in 2014. This was the first video on YouTube to break 1 billion views. And I don't mean just K-pop videos, of all videos on YouTube. And it was the first exposure that a lot of people had to K-pop. In 2018, BTS was the first K-pop group to ever perform at a major US award show at the Billboard Music Awards. I would say this is where K-pop started to grow exponentially in the Western markets. We quickly started seeing other K-pop stars appear in Western media, such as Blackpink taking the stage at Coachella in 2019, and again headlining in 2023, and NCT 127 performing on Good Morning America in 2020 as well, amongst many other examples. I personally have been a fan of K-pop since the early days of Big Bang and Epic High in the mid to late 2000s. I have seen numerous times where K-pop has tried to break into the Western market, and unfortunately failed many times. There, of course, has always been K-pop fans outside of Korea, but as I mentioned previously, it didn't really make its way into mainstream Western media until recently, which is exactly why I thought it'd be fun to go through my very real and very factual 5 tiers of K-pop fans. Let's start at the top, or at the bottom, starting at tier 1, casual listeners. Out of all the tiers, this is probably the most populated one at the moment, especially considering K-pop is now in the spotlight more than it ever has been before. Casual listeners are basically the tourists of K-pop. They stop by, they take a look, and they say, hey, that's fun, and carry on without realizing they're one binge watch away from staying. These casual listeners likely have heard a song or two either from the radio or a viral TikTok, maybe on the off chance that they've heard a song on a Spotify playlist, or happen to catch them on some kind of late night TV show performing. They likely have heard of BTS, Blackpink, or maybe even Twice. There's a chance they don't even know the group names or can even name a song title, let alone be able to name a single member of the group. But if you played a song for them, they may be like,
oh yeah, I know that song. I remember that. It's a fun song.
hell, they may not even realize that the group is Korean or a non-English speaking group, depending on the song that they've heard. Especially if they know Butter or Dynamite, both by BTS, or Ice Cream by Blackpink and Selena Gomez. They're the type who has heard Dynamite and thought,
is One Direction back? Is this One Direction?
And you're just standing there, clutching onto your light stick, ready to give them an education on K-pop. This casual listener usually doesn't specifically seek out K-pop themselves, but if you, as a friend, sent them some sort of K-pop song or music video, they'd probably give it a listen. This tier of casual listeners may not really necessarily be considered a fan, but this next tier is definitely the beginning of it all, which is tier 2, graduating from casual listener to casual fan. The casual fan is a step up from tier 1 where they are actively seeking out K-pop for themselves. They started as a casual listener, but they're starting to learn more and more about the groups and idols. They definitely have heard of the bigger mainstream names who have hit the top of the charts. They can name a few songs from each of these groups, likely their singles and big hits. They likely have watched the music videos to some of these songs as well. While watching these videos, they may eventually start to identify with a favorite member who will eventually be their bias. But they are just starting to get to know the members and may not even know all their names yet. At this level, they've watched just enough interviews to know there's one guy with a deep voice and another with the purple hair, but they're still figuring out who's who. Also, if they're anything like me, they probably had a hard time remembering some of those names because they couldn't figure out how to pronounce them. No shade whatsoever, this is me. At this point, they probably have added several K-pop songs to their own playlist, or maybe even have their own dedicated K-pop playlist. All in all, just a casual fan where it hasn't completely engulfed their lives. Yet, they're not yet prepared for the financial commitment that's about to hit them. Trust me, it's coming. Which leads us to our next tier, the Enthusiast. The Enthusiast is where we really start to turn up the notch. This is the complete start of fandom. By now, the Enthusiast has their favorite group or two, or three, or four or five. But they don't just listen to these groups. They soak in any information they can about this group or idol. They know every single member in the group and can identify them immediately. This fan may even learn some of the dance moves from the music videos. They know a lot about the K-pop industry, such as the big three, SM, JYP, and YG. You could probably quiz them on their favorite groups and they'll know exactly which of the big three they're part of. For fun, let's test you right now. Which of the big three agencies are these groups part of? Let's start with Blackpink. Do you have a guess? Do you know? YG. How about the group NCT? SM. And last one, the mega boy group 17. Okay, I got you there. They're not all part of the big three. They're actually part of Pledis. Pledis? Is that how you say it? And honestly, as time goes on, I think more groups are starting to grow apart from the big three. The Enthusiasts has definitely watched any variety shows featuring their favorite idols, such as Weekly Idol or Running Man. Also, any shows that they produce themselves, such as BTS's version Run BTS, a personal favorite of mine. Or Time to Twice with, well, you know, Twice. Their walls are likely filled with posters of Mr. Worldwide Handsome and Lisa, just in case you couldn't figure out who their bias was. And songs from each of their favorite groups. I mean, like sticks. YouTube, come at me, it's the Korean name, okay? Which means either they've already spent a minimum of $300 on a ticket to go see them at a stadium, maybe not even in their own city, state, or country, or they're just waiting for them to tour nearby and spend $300 for a ticket then. I can't judge. I drove over 7 hours for BTS. Twice. Lastly, they may have an anonymous fan account on Twitter or Instagram to post pictures that you can already see all over the internet.
But hey, I need my daily fix of Jungkook in my feed.
And lastly, they'll never let you forget that they're a once. Yes, it's real. That's the real fan base name for the group Twice. Once. Now, you may have thought the Enthusiast was intense. Well, buckle up, bud. In case you haven't noticed, we're only in tier 3 of 5. It's gonna get crazier, okay? Which brings us to tier 4, the dedicated fan. The last tier where the fan has a chance to still rehabilitate themselves to sanity. The dedicated fan is, of course, fully dedicated to K-pop. What, you thought the last tier was that? This fan can be quizzed on anything about their favorite idol. Their favorite food, their favorite color, their last bowel movement, anything. They keep up with all the latest K-pop news. And not just news, but gossip. K-pop Twitter is one of the most toxic places I've ever seen. And also one of the most hilarious, let's be real. Like that one time Jungkook mentioned that he uses Downy fabric softener and it led to a shortage of the product. But I mean, come on, he can't be doing his own laundry, right? And if they can figure out how to do it outside of Korea, which they will because they're dedicated, they'll vote for their idols on music charts and comeback shows such as Mnet's M Countdown. Speaking of, when I went to Korea many years ago, I tried to apply for tickets for this show, and good luck, it's a lottery system. It's about near impossible to get those tickets. This fan owns all Lightstick bongs, every tour version, every single one of them. All the different versions of a single album. I mean, I gotta have all the different versions of 17's FML album with all the different photo books and artworks and photo cards. This is worth going bankrupt for. There are also a lot of fan projects, I guess we can call them, where fans will gather together to organize charity initiatives and events, such as when Twice fans raised funds for several causes in the name of the group for anniversaries and birthdays. And speaking of birthdays, a dedicated fan would spend their hard-earned cash to create a billboard to wish their favorite idol a happy birthday in Toronto, in a city where they'll never see it. Still cute. Also, the enthusiasts may watch dramas featuring their favorite idols, but the dedicated fan will watch all 11 episodes of Produce 101, where each episode is a full featured film length. Like, seriously, that finale was longer than a Lord of the Rings extended edition. All of that is fun and games, though, until you enter the final boss battle of Tier 5, the ultimate stan. These people live and breathe K-pop. And I mean fully dedicated their whole headspace and identity to K-pop. If they could, they would donate their body to some sort of K-pop fund if it existed. They know everything and anything there is to know about the industry, and they're the first to know about it. They follow K-pop Twitter, r/K-pop, official fan clubs, Discord servers dedicated to their favorite groups, and even biases. They're likely the mods for some of these groups as well. They know every song off of every album, every mini album, single, B-sides, Japanese versions, English versions, soundtracks, holiday albums, and solos. I mean, are you even ARMY if you don't even know all 250 plus songs? This fan likely learned Korean for the sole purpose. Get it? For the sole purpose of being able to understand all the different fan cams that are out there. Not only will they go to the concerts, but they will travel internationally for concerts, usually paying premiums for sound checks or meet and greets. Or really, what is a high five for $1,000? Literally, a high five. A big fan project that stans like to take part of are coffee trucks. This likely only happens in Korea, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow it happened for tours or events outside of their home country. But essentially, fans will find out where they are, where it's filming, a tour, whatever. And as a nice gesture, they will organize a coffee or food truck for them. Although it's sweet for a fan to be thinking of their favorite artists this way, it does seem a little overbearing. This is also where we start to get into toxic territory. And by no means do I mean every 1%er fan is like this. So take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying all fans are like this. But there are clear and various examples of these behaviors. Things like stans getting mad at their favorite idols for dating someone. Because of this, idols typically aren't allowed to date as advised by their agencies. And if they do, they absolutely cannot show it in public. A recent example of this would be when EXO's Kai and Blackpink Jennie revealed to be dating. Some fans were supportive, but there were also a lot of angry and jealous netizens. There was a lot of backlash online for them to break up, saying it would absolutely ruin their careers by dating, and that they should solely focus on themselves. That sounds healthy. Later, within a month of SM announcing their relationship, they broke up. And people speculated afterwards for those exact reasons, that they needed to focus on their career, which is so sad. They can't even have a life of their own. And there are many examples just like this one. EXO's Baekhyun and Girls' Generation's Taeyeon, Twice's Jihyo and Kang Daniel. The list goes on and on. This type of fan also has some well-documented cases of sussing, which means obsessive fan or stalker in Korean. One of the most notorious cases of sussing was in 2006 with the member Yoonho and TVXQ, or DBSK, you may know him as. During filming, Yoonho was handed a drink by a fan. He drank it and immediately became ill. He had to be rushed to the hospital from physical pain that he was having. It was later known that the drink that he had was laced with super glue by the fan. A more recent example of assessing would be BTS's Jungkook calling out stalkers outside of his home. They found out his home address somehow and were constantly sending things to his house and things such as food deliveries. As harmless as it may seem, it can definitely lead to more devastating scenarios later on. All in all, the ultimate stan will do anything and everything for K-pop. Well, that was a journey, wasn't it? Let me know in the comments below which tier you think you belong to. Personally, at one point, I was probably a tier 4 as a dedicated fan. But to be honest, I've been out of the K-pop game for some time now. Send me your song recommendations below in the comments. And whether you're just dipping your toes in a little bit of dynamite, or you're out here memorizing every B-side from every comeback, there's a place for all of us in this K-pop madness. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell notification to be notified when my next video comes out. Until next time, keep your biases close, your albums even closer, and remember, life's too short to not memorize all the different fan chants. See you all. I love you.